Okay, this is where things start making sense. When you're trying to issue control, you have severe punishment for rule breakers, right? Well, did you know that the ancient Levites had some serious ground rules? Imagine being in a poker game where the stakes are life and death. That was the Levite way. So here's an example in your own life. Remember that one time that Steve from accounting, he broke the office coffee machine and we all had to survive caffeine-free for a week? Well, in the Levite world, Steve might have not gotten off so lightly. Levite 24:16 tells us about a man who spoke ill of Yahweh and was stoned to death. Now, that's high stakes. Now let's flip the coin. Imagine if you fed your pet every time you got to eat some of their food too. Sounds weird, but that's how the Levites rolled. The first 10 sections of Leviticus are like a chef's manual for fire sacrifices. They made these sacrifices twice daily and on the Sabbath, at seasonal changes, and for various other reasons. And the Levites were the lucky ones to eat the food offerings. So if Israelites brought cattle, sheep, rams, pigeons, corn, flour, bread, oil, and wine, the Levites had a feast. Talk about discipline and reward. It makes you think about our rules and rewards, doesn't it? Next time you think about breaking the rules or rewarding yourself, remember the Levites used shock and awe to cement their political power. Continuing on, rituals forced communities to serve the Levites. So imagine being part of an exclusive club with extraordinary privileges, like the Levites, an ancient tribe with the ultimate VIP card. These guys were the royals of their time in the same way that a CEO commands respect in a corporate setting today. The Levites were the priests in ancient Israel, and the laws were written in their favor. It's like a kid being allowed to set the house rules, deciding on everything from TV time to bedtime. One of their many privileges was being showered with the choicest parts of sacrifices: shoulders, cheeks, and stomachs of bulls or sheep. Think of it as having the first pick at a buffet, getting the juiciest steak before anyone else even arrives. And get this, they were showered with silver, gold, and property. It's like getting a hefty bonus just for being you. But that's not all. They also had the right to set the price if another tribe member wanted to sell his house to them. It's like having the power to set the market price even in a buyer's market. And the best part, they didn't have to own land, but received the best parts of it. It's like living in a penthouse without having to pay a dime. And if anyone else dared to wear their perfume, they would be cut off from his father's kin. It's like someone else is banned from Paris for wearing Chanel No. 5. These laws, written by the Levites, were then placed in their sole possession, much like a magician who doesn't reveal his secrets. After reading this book of mine, you might think of the Levites as the ultimate example of the rich get richer philosophy. Through Moses, God spoke and gave the Levites the divine right of power over the indigenous people who honored the feminine divine. They did not want any culture threatening their control over resources. So then let's talk about how volcanoes equal an angry God. Merlin Stone, in her book, When God Was a Woman, explains her theory about how patriarchal cultures used images of power and might to strike down those who opposed them. They created a narrative of an angry God who flexed his power through the forces of nature. Quote, surely the most vivid description of Yahweh as a volcanic mountain occurs in Psalm 18, where we read, the earth heaved and quaked, the foundations of the mountain shook. They heaved because he was angry. Smoke rose from his nostrils, devouring fire came out of his mouth, glowing coals and searing heat. Thick clouds came out of the radiance before him, hailstones and glowing coals. He shot forth lightning shafts and sent them echoing. The imagery is difficult to ignore, unquote. And then she continues, quote, even today, the surviving Zoroastrians of Iran still pray to fire, while in the Kurdish territories, partially in the land that was once Urartu, Fires are lit on the mountaintops at New Year's celebrations. The worship of the Indo-European and Hebrew gods as volcanic mountains may explain the great importance of the fire rituals among both the Brahmins and the Levites. It may also explain the name of Yahweh, so long a puzzle to Bible scholars who have hunted for the meaning in Semitic texts and cultures. For the word Yahweh in Sanskrit means ever-flowing, so suggestive of the lava of volcanic eruption. It may even be related to the word lava itself, unquote. So yeah, you see how all this is coming together? Well, stay tuned for the next video where we talk more about how these all started oppressing women. Okay, see you in the next video.